It's no Sia up ahead. Game face, Jack.
Can I call dibs?
Not the time, Jack.
So, what's the plan?
Dunno. This all feels a bit improvisational, if I'm being honest.
You bring no banner?
Didn't feel the need.
I held a small hope you might see reason. Yet you remain the same Kirkin that made me abandon the Immortals years ago. Obsessed with victory, stranger to compromise. Your eye ever bent towards the world's ruin.
And you just want to save it.
I can. With this. Its mastery over the fonts means I can end the war.
You mean win the war? By turning the rest of us defenseless?
In our every meeting, a yipping pub.
Jack's right, though. You're not worthy of that power, Sandrak. Your airships bomb the free cities of the East and then wonder why they resist you now? The last order that surrendered to Rasharn, you burned their ambassadors alive. If my eye is ever bent towards the world's ruin, it's because I'm trying to stop the man causing so much of it.
Please, don't make me do this.
Captain Selko. You went mad. You didn't abandon us. You were exiled. And I'm still paying the price for not killing you.
Remember, this blood is on your hands.
It's the wound! He's moving it!
We have to go! Now! Fall back!
Devin.
Jack, glad you're on your feet. That could have been so much worse. Took ages, but Zendara was finally able to dig you out of the rubble.
Oh, no, not her. I rather would have died. I'm never living that down.
Nope. Never.
How many did we lose?
Considering Sandrak just dropped a city into the wound, surprisingly few. But enough to have made his point. Kirkhan's left for Lavenry to talk with the king. He wants a full surrender after Nocia. There's even talk that Kirkhan's emergency powers may be rescinded.
So who's in charge?
Zendara. And I'll warn you, she's in a bit of a mood.
Kind of on brand for her.
I heard that!
Whoops.
Meet us in the war chamber, Jack. We've come to the conclusion that we're in desperate need of a plan.
Kirkhan may be gone, but our job's still the same. Eliminating Sandrak and his hold over the fonts.
There are 5, right? He can't have them all yet. We may not know what the Binding Stone does, or how Sandrak uses it, but we can try and keep him away from the rest if all of us just... What?
The fonts are hidden from us, Jack. Invisible. Buried in the liminal spaces where the borders between Aveum and the Shrouded Realm are weakest.
We only know the location of 2. The Palathon is actually built around one, and the other is in the Tower of Masks in Risharn.
Which means Sandrak's already used the Binding Stone to absorb its power.
We have to assume he has.
Technically, we now know the location of 3 fonts, but the one in the Pale Forest is, well, you saw what happened to it.
So that leaves the last 2, and only Sandrak knows where they are. Fine. Pin that. We concentrate on the Binding Stone instead. We know where that is. We just need to learn how to shut it off. And fast.
Not necessarily. According to my research, a Thradakol takes a huge toll on its possessor. Sandrak will have to rest before doing another stunt like that. We may have a little time.
Which leads us to former Grand Magnus, Thaddeus. Kirkhan's predecessor, now in exile. The oldest of us that still lives. By all accounts, he was an expert on Aristea. If there's a weakness to the very Aristean Binding Stone, he'll know about it. In theory.
Sticky wicket, the situation with Thaddeus.
That's not important.
Kind of feels like it is.
What Zendara means to say is it doesn't matter that Thaddeus hates the Immortals and everything we stand for, because you'll undoubtedly figure out a way to convince him to help us. And a bonus potential setback, because the universe is cruel. Like the remaining fonts, we also don't know where Thaddeus is.
His last known location was the Sky Islands of Orman, digging through the archives at the Library of Akoth.
Okay, then what are we waiting for? I go to Orman, make nice with a friendly librarian.
Actually getting to Orman is difficult. initiate. You're gonna need to learn how to ride a ley line. Devin, you're running support. Walk Jack through what he needs to do to get airborne.
Ready when you are, Jack. You'll need a special spell to properly ride the ley lines, and a strong stomach.
Why? What's this spell like?
Like Lash, only more panic, vertigo, and fear of heights. Fortunately, there's a Shroud Fane in the Harrows where you can find one.
The Harrows over in Havenshire? Got it. All right, I'll be quick. But hey, you okay? We never really got to talk about what happened at Nicaea.
They're hard for me to pass, honestly. My feelings on all of that destruction. Call me when you have the spell, and I'll tell you where we go from there.
Sir, about Orman and what's his name? Thaddeus?
Were the mission parameters unclear?
No, sir. I just figured some more intel never hurts.
It hurts time, Initiate. Do you want to hurt time?
I don't know much about Orman. Never been that far west in any of the fighting.
That's because Orman dropped out of the Everwar a long time ago. Even before then, they remained largely neutral. Then their magical experiments cut them off from the rest of the kingdoms, and it didn't much matter anymore.
Cut off how?
I don't have time to give you a history lesson. Devin can catch you up. All you need to know at present is that the Orimic made it a bitch to get out to them. Hence your need to ride a ley line.
And what about the Orimic themselves?
What's left of them are nomads, migrating from one sky island to another in search of arcanum deposits. Also, they can be a pain in the ass to deal with when you're an outsider.
The guy I'm looking for, our former Grand Magnus, does he really hate the Immortals?
The feeling's mutual. Your job is to ignore all that and find out what he knows about the Binding Stone.
It'd be so much easier to ignore if I knew what it actually was.
Nice try.
Sir, come on.
Thaddeus was Kirkin's mentor. Sandrak's too, in a way. Then he bailed on the Order for reasons you don't need to know, leaving Kirkin to fill his position when she really didn't feel ready for it. She was a huge fan of that.
At least you're sending the new guy to navigate through all the complicated drama. All right, I'm good. Heading out.
Don't fuck this one up, Initiate.
Don't think I have a spell for that.